Hey, welcome back. Thanks for watching Talk Local on Rogers TV. John Neufeld joins us in studio, the Executive Director of House of Friendship. John, welcome. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me here.
Always a pleasure to speak with you. Let's talk a little bit. We mentioned discretionary benefits. Let's talk about how these cuts relate to the food hamper program that you've been a part of for so long in the community.
Okay, let me go back a little bit, Haley, and just for a historical perspective, just to give some context to see how to explain how food hamper sort of is part of this discretionary benefits. And it actually goes back 30 years to when we were in a similar situation as we are in our province right now, economically not doing well. And what happened was, as we all know, when the economics aren't doing well, service providers like Ensemble House, House of Friendship, Salvation Army, I mean, our demand increases. And so what happened 30 years ago is that we had a lot of demand put on us through that economic crisis, and some community forward-thinking leaders came together and said, is there a way for another agency or something to be formed that looks after the food needs of this community, of our agencies? And so a group of visionaries in both Cambridge and in Kitchener-Waterloo came together, and so out of that in '84 was the Food Bank of Waterloo Region was formed, and then a year later the Cambridge Self-Help Food Bank. And so that sort of started this region in being really a leader and a pioneer in having a very progressive system where we look after our most vulnerable from a food perspective. And then the next big thing happened at the regional level where, again, there was some visionary leadership and some creativity used with the discretionary benefits, saying, is there a way to have some funds come through discretionary benefits to fund sort of this food network that we were building? And so some funding came through there. And that really stabilized and allowed it to become the what I believe the best food network in the province today. I mean, not only did we feed 36,000 individuals last year, we handed out over 77,000 food hampers, but our food banks also provide food for our social service agencies. It's a much broader network, and I think the people that started this, I think there was a vision to ensure that hunger was addressed through our region, and so there was always a will to have funding for it. So as part of discretionary benefits, a significant amount of funding is given to 5 different agencies that distribute food in our community, and then those agencies leverage that amount, collect their own funds, and then in total we distribute about 4 million pounds of food. So overall, the overall food system in our region, if you were to put a monetary amount on it, is about a $12 million system, of which the region up till now has been funding up to $770,000 per year. So they're sort of the anchor and what allows it to happen, but it's quite an impressive system, and we can really truly say in Waterloo Region we work hard at ensuring that no one goes hungry.
Okay, so then when we talk about these cuts, let's talk about the effect that this will have.
Yeah, and I mean, this is why we're working hard together, and I mean, David is here in the studio and will come after. I mean, we're working together and with Region Council. I mean, I don't think this is an easy decision or a challenge anyone has taken lightly. I think we're all trying to work together, trying to figure out different solutions, and as service providers, we've come together and saying, we're willing to try different things and look at things and innovate. We also need some time to adjust. To cut it just in half would basically immobilize us, and so I think that was one of the reasons we presented at Region Council and saying, we're willing to look at different ways of doing it, and we already have over the last few years, and we've been trying new things, but maybe this is a dramatic thing, but it would be a little bit like me saying to you, let's cut your camera in half and tell you to still continue to taping your show. I mean, we need some sort of base to work with, and so that's what we're advocating, but I mean, I don't think this is a decision that is easy on anyone, and so there's still a lot of work ahead of us, and we're working at it, and I'm confident in this community's resiliency, innovation, entrepreneurship, that one way or another we'll find a solution.
Well, and as you've said, and as I know, I mean, Wendy Campbell was just on yesterday from the food bank, right? And as we've discussed before, the people here are very compassionate, I think, when it comes to feeding people and donating. But I mean, is there disappointment in the provincial level at all on your end when you think, that everything has to be downloaded sometimes onto the region?
Yeah, and that's a tough question, because I mean, I don't think those decisions are handled lightly. I mean, the reality is in the province, we're in a tough time economically, and so that is having impacts all around. And so, of course, I'm disappointed, and like the guests before, Ian and Shannon were saying, I mean, ultimately what this then happens is it does trickle down to the most vulnerable, and so that's why we're here to try to speak on behalf and with the folks that are ultimately going to be the most impacted.
And has there been an increase in need? Have you seen over the years? We know the region is growing. We know more people are coming into it. Does this put more of a strain on you? In addition with, of course, the cuts or the proposed 50% cuts.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I mean, if we looked at the numbers historically, what you would see is from about 2002, 2008, we had a really good, stable period, in the sense where, I'll just speak for House of Friendship, we were sort of distributing about 24 to 26,000 food hampers a year, and because there's always going to be some sort of level of need that we need to respond to in our community. We don't all have the same privileges, and I think we need to help each other out. Then 2009 hit, and all of a sudden there was an 18% increase, and all of a sudden we jumped from normally distributing 27,000 to all of a sudden 33,000 food hampers, and we've never recovered from that. We went down a little bit last year, but we're talking a few hundred hampers, and this year we're going to set a new record. I think we're going to get close to 35,000 hampers, which is a lot demand for a program such as ours. So yes, we have seen the increase. We haven't seen it go down, and so that's what we're also grappling with. And then with the unknowns of what is the outcome of CSUM?
That's what
in
I was
2013.
just going to say.
What is the outcome of all this? And so what I think everyone is working hard at, and I know David's doing this at the region, is we're trying to figure out and create as much space for 2013 to be a year of transition to try to figure out what is going to be the outcome of all this. I mean, we anticipate it's not going to be positive, but we don't know to what level, and so nobody can predict that. So we're just trying to figure out how to actually just get through 2013, learn from it, and then and go from there.
Okay, on that note, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Stay with us. We are going to speak with David Dirks from the region. We'll get a regional perspective right after this. You're watching Talk Local on Rogers TV, and we'll be back right after the break. Hi, welcome back. Thanks for watching Talk Local on Rogers TV. We have David Dirks in studio with us now, the Director of Social Services, Employment and Income Support at the region of Waterloo. David, welcome. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for the chance to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to speak with you and to talk about this, because we know it's an important issue. We know, our community is facing cuts to CSUM. We've been talking about discretionary benefits, their cuts as well. So can we just talk a little bit about the region's plan moving forward to handle some of these things that are coming?
So in terms of discretionary benefits, it's, as previous guest John spoke, it's in the middle of the 2013 budget process. So Council knows the impact of the change in the cost-sharing formula, and we've made a proposal to staff in terms of the level of funding that they might consider in terms of 2013, and they're receiving delegations from the community, and they'll be making their decision early in 2013.
Okay, how important are delegations from the community and just community involvement as a whole when it comes to an issue like this?
It's vital. We make presentations to staff, but we can't make it real. So when those who are affected by this particular issue come forward and personalize it and say, this is the impact to us, it gives Council a deeper, richer understanding of the issue, and they'll reach a better resolution as a result.
So, sorry, say again, we expect to have an answer by, did you say mid?
January 16th is the final budget date. There is another public input session on January the 9th from 7 to 9. So the community is invited to register as a delegation and come forward and speak to this or any of the other issues in front of Council.
Okay, excellent. Another issue, of course, is CSUM. We've been talking about that. The province is essentially kind of stepping away, backing away from that. What is the region going to do? Where does kind of the region's responsibility lie when it comes to CSUM?
So that's the challenge in the 2013 budget process. CSUB is a provincial program. They've indicated that it's going to be removed from social assistance effective January the 1st. We've been addressing it through the discretionary benefits because for us, as we work with people on social assistance, we see the two benefits closely linked, and we use whichever pot is most appropriate given the need in front of us. So Council will be looking at in its ability to provide additional funding in 2013.
Is this another tough decision? Because I mean, budgets are, you kind of get used to, I think, paying the things over and over, right? You pay for the roads, you pay for the, and then when this is suddenly kind of dropped on council, is this a difficult thing to look at and say, well, where will this money come from? I mean, how do we support this?
So you'd need a regional councillor to speak to it, but the depth of the issue is significant. We spent in 2011, both Ontario Works and Ontario Disability, $4.4 million on community startup and maintenance. It's gone. When we look at the new Community Homelessness Prevention Initiative, we anticipate maybe $700,000, so you've lost $3.7 million there, and there's a $3.5 million shortfall in terms of discretionary benefits. You're up to $6 or $7 million in terms of the impact on the social assistance system here. So it's a significant amount for Regional Council to consider.
Is there a serious issue, I guess for lack of a better word, when it comes to homelessness in the region, when it comes to people using social services? I mean, and do you see this as being a growing issue in the years to come?
So the caseload for Ontario Works sits at about 8,500 at the end of November. There's about 11,000 dependents as well, children by and large. So you're sitting at about 19 to 20,000 people. That's been our experience over the last 2 years. We seem to have plateaued a bit in terms of that level. That's 34% higher than it was in September 2008. Sort of the beginning of the recession. So yes, the caseload has grown here. It's grown across the province. Provincial estimates are that the caseload will continue to grow. So yeah, we see it as a significant issue.
Do you feel, and I asked John this, and maybe a regional councillor again is better to speak on it, but I've heard from regional councillors, and we've spoken with mayors on the show before, and there seems to be an idea that, or a thought that the provincial government is constantly downloading things on the region. I mean, how much more, and I know this is a great place and people are willing to step up and help out, but how much more can the region take of these provincial downloads? And is that a significant concern for you moving forward when it comes time to do things like the budget and figure out where is money going, where is it coming from?
So this was a bit of a U-turn from a municipal perspective.
Okay.
In 2008, there was a review where there was an understanding of what would be a provincial responsibility and what would be a municipal responsibility. And social assistance is being uploaded to the province. So I think it caught us all by surprise. We understand the fiscal environment, but it did catch us by surprise in terms of their stepping away and then by their absence leaving it to local municipalities to decide their ability to pick up the slack. The lack of notice is a challenge as well.
Yeah.
They changed the cost sharing on discretionary benefits. They announced it in March. It changed in July and Regional Council had to step in. So the timing is very difficult in terms of the short notice. It's hard to do your planning. And if you're looking at a $6 million problem, it is a significant problem for this municipality, for any other municipalities to step up and absorb.
When it comes to your role as the Director of Social Services, Employment and Income Support in the region of Waterloo, what else, just out of curiosity and for our listener or our viewers, what else is the region responsible for? I mean, how is the workload kind of shared between the region and the province?
So we're just sort of one piece of supporting persons with low income. We obviously provide Ontario Works. We also fund the subsidized transportation program, the TRIP program. Bus passes, we have social housing, we have programs through public health. So we have a number of programs that we offer in partnership with the province. Some of them cost shared, some of them fully funded.
And federal never really gets involved with this, or do they? Is
no,
that
certainly in
okay.
terms of the homelessness portfolio, they're a significant player in terms of providing support for homelessness.
Okay. In this case, so we're talking provincial
Absolutely.
and municipal. Okay, so just a couple minutes left. Just wondering kind of what's moving forward and from your role, encourage people, I guess, to get involved, to come out to these info sessions, or what would you like to see people do when it comes to this issue?
So there'd be two. Certainly the first speakers talked about political advocacy. People have a right to do that, to become engaged, to become involved, to make their voice heard, and that's an important thing. They can do it in terms of the provincial lobby. Certainly they have an opportunity as part of the public input session to make their voice heard in front of Regional Council. And I think then we would appreciate, we will be making difficult decisions. We will be not able to provide the level of services we have in the past, and we'll be working with community partners around what can we do, how can we support people given the changing fiscal environment.
And you've said it, yeah, it's a difficult decision, right? And is that something you want people to be aware of? This is something that's not taken lightly. It's not an easy thing to cut money, to move money. I mean, it's hard, right?
Selfishly, from a staff perspective, this is a very difficult period. They will go from period where they were able to support people,
Yeah.
perhaps not as much as we would like, but certainly more than we'll be able to in the future. So we'll be saying no more than we have in the past, and that will be hard for us, and certainly we understand the impact on people in the community.
Okay, David, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very
Appreciate it. Do stay with us. We're changing gears a little bit. We are talking about Bill 115. Of course, we know it, the dispute going on with Ontario teachers. We will speak with the president of the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario later on this hour. Stay with us, though. Jack and Andrew organized a rally earlier this week, and we'll speak with them right after the break. We'll be back right after this.